I board about 8 to 10 planes a year, and spoiler alert, I've never died. It's not all that common to die on planes. Saying that, did you hear about that man who died of turbulence? Oh, and there's 9/11. And where the fuck is that Malaysia plane? Okay, so those examples aside, plane disasters, they're quite a rare occurrence. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Final Destination. You seen it? You heard of it? It's a film about cheating death and dying anyway. So whether you've seen this film before or you're just curious about the plot, sit back, grab a snack while J-Lei tells you all about it. Heavy spoilers ahead. So the film starts, and right from the jump, grab your passports because we is going to Paris, bitch. However, it is all business, limited pleasure, because the reason why we are going to France is because we are following a high school French class go and get all cultured and shit. And already this movie is unrelatable to an underprivileged British kid. Because Paris is only an hour away, but did our teachers ever try to take us there? Hell no! Sacre bleu! So we are at the airport waiting to board, and we are with our main players. We got Alex, who has main character energy, and his bestie, Tod. Billy the loner, Terry and Carter, a horny couple, a teacher or two, and a dark, mysterious, weirdo girl called Claire. Not to be mistaken for the totally ordinary, acceptable name Claire, but Clear Rivers. Like a river that's clear. Anyways, both Claire and Alex, they seem to be highly observant teenagers, also unrelatable. And as they board flight 180 to Paris, they can't help but notice little things that put them slightly on edge. The vibe is just off, and they did not subscribe to this on this day. But putting their pre-flight jitters to bay, everybody boards the plane ready for takeoff. Now, I do not know the laws in the USA about dosing kids up on Valium, but it's clear that Alex he has not taken one. Because by the time the plane goes shooting down the runway, Alex, he is freaking the fuck out. I just don't think he's a very confident flyer. But like I said at the top of this video, what is the likelihood of a plane incident? Turns out the likelihood 100 motherfucking %. Because the plane spontaneously combusts into a giant fireball, killing everyone instantly. Good night, the end, au revoir, end of movie. So if you like the way I relay information and shit, then stick around because I'm full of oh, wait. The movie ain't ended. It's just getting started. Because in fact, the fireball plane was all a hallucination conjured up by Alex and his anxiety. Well, coming back to reality, Alex, he is shooketh. That felt way too real for his liking, and he ain't fancying his chances on this day. Who needs Paris anyway, you know? So he kicks up a fuss, screaming and yelling, trying to warn everyone that this plane is going down on this day. It is destined to explode. So strung out teenager, in a panic, talking shit. Naturally, people, they don't believe him. You gotta remember, this all took place prior to 9/11, so people weren't nearly as cautious about planes and airports like they would be today. Today, all you'll need to say is, "Oh, this aeroplane food is the bomb," which, by the way, no one would ever say. But if someone did, the whole country would be evacuated. But yeah, prior to 9/11, Alex is just an annoying bastard who's trying to ruin the vibe of everyone's vacation. So he, along with a few friends and a teacher, find himself being escorted off of the plane, which is kind of what he wanted anyway, so winner winner chicken dinner. So everyone is fighting at the departure gate. Accusations are flying. What isn't flying though is this motherfucking plane. Because in a twisted turn of fate, Alex's anxiety-induced fantasy becomes reality. Flight 180 to Paris, full capacity, other than the ones that have just been kicked off board, blows up, just like Alex saw. So it wasn't a dream or a crazed fantasy. It was a premonition. So, Alex is a god, a legend, an icon amongst mortals, and we need to bathe his feet and feed him grapes, right? Wrong, now he's an accused terrorist. Which, to be fair, what the fuck would you make of this shit? But I think he manages to convince the authorities for now that he's maybe just a witch or something. And we'll all take witches over terrorists any day. So the whole class is dead, which sucks. But those survivors, they still got their lives, so happy days, right? We could just chalk this up to a bizarre series of circumstances and move on with our lives, right? Right. It's not all peace and rainbows though, because everyone low-key blames Alex for, I don't know, everything I suppose. Carter, one half of the horny couple, he deems Alex to be a nut job and he swears to himself on this day that he ain't ever gonna die. And I don't need to be Alex or have no premonition to know that that probably won't work out for him. But even like the surviving teachers, they are being petty little bitches to Alex as well. Very unprofessional. Anyway, so after the dust settles a little bit and the memorial service is held, everyone just tries to get back to their normal life. And this is where we follow Tod on his nightly routine. So bear with me because death works in mysterious ways here. Oh yeah, Tod's nightly routine ends with him dying. Not every night, but this night, yes. Tod has a poo. Tod has a poo, and it must be like a serious plop, because his arse cheeks cause a leak from the pipe connected to the toilet, and then he tries to shave his already clean shaven face and nicks himself on the very first stroke. And then when Tod tries to gather the washing that has been drying over the bath on a clothesline, he slips on the leaking toilet water, gets caught in a clothesline which wraps itself around his neck, subsequently hanging him out to dry. That was a laundry pun and I apologise for it. But yeah, Tod is dead now, and whilst this is all happening, Alex is having his like witchy senses moment again, where he becomes increasingly concerned for Tod's safety, well-being and life. And I'm now even at the point where I might be convinced that Alex is a witch as well. Claire, not Claire, the weirdo loner girl, she's believed Alex since the very beginning. Ever since his first freaked out, she's kind of been there for Alex to provide comfort and conspiracies. And today's conspiracy is that Tod did not commit suicide due to the grief of the plane crash. Because that's what the old coroner's been saying. We were there, we know that shit didn't happen. But we can't even explain what did happen because the toilet water disappeared after it killed him. Anyways, we need to investigate, and what better way to investigate than break into the morgue in the middle of the night to, I don't know, perform our own autopsy maybe? Well, this visit to the morgue, it raises more questions than answers. Because oh my days, they are not alone in there. The mortician's there, and instead of like protecting the dignity of Tod's corpse and sending the nosy teenagers on their way, he starts spouting nonsense about how there's no accidents in death, and death has his own design. He is a strange one, this mortician, but he does set a few light bulbs off in the kids' minds. He seems to believe and successfully convinces Alex that he and the others have cheated death by surviving the plane crash, and now death, he be pissed with them bitches. The old Grim Reaper, he was hungry for some souls that day and he did not get fed. Well, he did, but just not enough. So Death is on a mission to collect the souls that were stolen from him. But how do we cheat the design again if we don't even know what the design is? Alex's premonition was a one-off. He can't keep everyone from death, especially when all the survivors are like now separated, leading their own lives. Where do you even start? Especially when most of the other survivors won't even listen to his nonsense. Even when everyone does happen to be at the same place together at the side of the road, he tries to convince them again, but nope, they is still not budging. No matter how hard he pushes the narrative, he could even hit them with a bus and they still wouldn't believe him. And funnily enough, in that moment, Terry, the other half of the horny couple, she does get hit by a bus. Full force, head on. Dead, flat like a pancake. And although this does suck for Terry, RRP babes, this actually really helps Alex figure some shit out. Cause he has been obsessed with this plane ever since it's crashed. And he's found out the issues that caused the plane to go down in the first place. But that bit, that's not important. What is important is how the characters died. And with Terry's death, a pattern emerges. So it turns out, Tod and Terry were destined to be the first two to die had they have stayed on the plane. So maybe Death is returning for the survivors in the order in which he initially planned to take them. The question is, who is next in line on Death's original plan? Mrs. Lewton, that's who. Well, my teacher, she is packing up. She is ready to move away from all this trauma. So Alex tries to go over to her house to interfere, which leads to his arrest. But it isn't Alex that Mrs. Lewton needs to be concerned about. It's Death. And oh, he is on his way. So Mrs. Lewton, she makes a nice cup of tea to try relax her nerves, then scratches the idea, throws that away and refills that mug with ice cold vodka. Good choice, girl, right? Well, no, because the immediate contrast from hot beverage to cold beverage causes this mug to crack and start leaking. And we all know from Tod's experience that death lacks a bit of leakage. However, Mrs. What's-Her-Face, she doesn't slip. Instead, she accidentally drips vodka from the mug onto her computer, causing it to explode. The screen shatters and a large chunk of the screen glass slices into her neck. And to add more drama, the computer, it ain't finished yet. It sets on fire, catching the vodka trail of leakage along the way, and it sets the whole kitchen ablaze. Mrs. Petty, she is panicking and she is struggling and there's blood gushing from her neck. And this mayhem, it becomes way too much for her. She loses her footing and she gets stabbed in the heart by a falling knife before the whole entire house blows up. Death is such an overdramatic, extravagant little bitch. And if it didn't result in my untimely demise, I think me and him could hang out. We would get on so well. That out-of-the-box thinking is right up my street. Creativity always wins. Anyway, during all of this, Alex, he has been arrested, investigated, questioned and released all in the space of like half hour. So he's out and about and the 3 remaining survivors, Claire, Carter and Billy, because that's all that's left by the way, they meet up with Alex because they need to know which one of them is on the list next. And Alex says it doesn't really matter who's next because if they're all on a list, they all need to be watching their backs. But as it turns out, the order of the list may be the most critical, important part of this entire movie. Carter, consistent to his character, is a twat. He decides that this list means fuck all and he's gonna take matters into his own hands and kill them all at once by parking on some train tracks. Of course, the other 3 aren't entirely keen on this whole idea, so they jump out of the car as the train comes zooming down that track. And Alex does everything he can to try and convince Carter to get out of the car with them, but then he gets his seatbelt stuck, effectively trapping him. And even though Carter was like literally just willing to sacrifice them all, Alex at the last possible moment is able to free Carter just as the train strikes the car within seconds. So the train smashes into an empty car and the teens are full of adrenaline, having escaped death once more, until a piece of metal debris from the train struck car flies off the tracks and immediately decapitates Billy. And now what makes the sudden, insignificant death of Billy super significant is that according to Death's list, Carter was supposed to be next, not Billy. Billy was after Carter, so why did Billy die? And that's because somehow, due to Alex's interference and ability to save Carter, Death went straight to the next person in the list, which was Billy. Sorry Billy, you would have been here for at least an extra day if it weren't for Alex. That interfering bastardo. I think that's Spanish for dickhead. Now, I do not condone violence, and I do not condone teenage death, but how is it that the one character we wouldn't mind seeing dying gets saved? That's annoying. But with Billy's head popped off, this sends Claire and Alex into a paranoid frenzy because that means they're next. And we've seen the weird abstract way that death works, so these kids are shook and they're doing everything they can to try death-proof their lives. And to be fair, they actually do quite a good job because Death has to put in overtime in order to try to kill these bitches off. In Claire's cabin, Death is trying to murder her so hard. Electrical wires are sparking, water is pouring, police are hunting. Oh yeah, the police still believe that Alex is behind all of this. So they've chased him to the cabin where Alex has run to in order to try to save Claire. It's a lot. A lot is happening at this point. Knowing that if you get saved, your name gets skipped, Alex decides he's gonna sacrifice himself for Claire, because if he saves Claire right here, Death's gonna go to the next person on the list, which happens to be him. But I think he and Claire might be starting to like each other a little bit, so what better way to express your love to someone by sacrificing yourself? Offering yourself up to the Grim Reaper? So whilst Claire is in a burning car, I told you a lot is happening, Alex grabs the electrical wire from the hood of the car, electrocuting himself. And now I do not know how this stops all the chaos from going on around them, but it does immediately. Claire tries to save Alex because she loves him, and the police try to save Alex because they want to charge him. And as for Alex, he'd just be laying there, burnt and motionless, as the scene fades to white. The end. Until it's not, because when the white fades, we are on board a plane. And when I say we, I mean Claire, Carter, and what's this? What's this? A ghost? Alex. Yep, he survived, and it's 6 months later, and for whatever dumb reason, the three thought it would be a cute idea to finally board a plane and make it to Paris. Like you'll ever step foot on a plane again in your life! Maybe they all feel invincible now because they've all escaped death at least twice, and 6 months has passed with no incident. So death has clearly got the message and fucked off, hopefully for like 70 years or something. Well actually, death didn't get the message. Or maybe he did and he just can't read. Or maybe he's just an ignorant bastard, because once the kids are in Paris reminiscing, Death returns from his vacation and drops a 50-foot sign on Carter. Yay, finally! Not yay, finally that a kid died, but yay, finally that particular kid died. And thus the movie comes to an abrupt end. So whatever happened to Alex and Claire, we will never know. If only there was a sequel. If you like the way I relay information and shit, then stick around, because I'm full of shit. Spanking a like button encourages this kind of behaviour, and dropping a comment below encourages conversation. And what better place to discuss your thoughts, feelings and opinions than here, where I can discuss along with you. And that was me, J-Lei, telling you how it is.